The siege is finally over. That's right. After 8 days of keeping vigil at the residence of Senator Dino Melaye in Abuja, the police have now left the property after the senator surrendered to the police this afternoon. Senator Melaye, however, caused a stir when he collapsed in the presence of some of his colleagues and his lawyer, Mr. Mike Ozekome, while being led into the police vehicle. Our correspondent, Ajuri Ngalali, reports.
It began 8 days ago with the disappearance of Senator Dino Melaye, as well as a police siege on his compound.
Senator Dino Melaye is wanted by the Nigerian police force for criminal conspiracy and attempted culpable homicide.
And later, a phone call which added to the mystery.
I'm not in Abuja, but I will definitely show myself up when I'm back, but I'm not in Abuja right now.
The senator's account would prove false at approximately 3 p.m. this afternoon, when a police siege, which began with the dramatic disappearance of Senator Dino Melaye, concludes in theatrical fashion.
That's why you water. Don't be pushing this. Be careful because take it easy. Don't give me any water. Chief, don't give me water so that
my brother should be there as well.
Come, we need some. So when the council like I don't know. See, call. They're using a banker call. Two people run out. Hey, please hold it, I beg. Maybe by the time the robber see the season now move this time. Wait on my brother.
What kind of wala is this? Where is the March one first? Take.
At this time, the level of cooperation between the arrested senator and police investigators is unknown. Currently, Senator Dino Melaye is on bed rest at the police clinic in Abuja. While the standoff at Senator Melaye's home is now over, the investigation to uncover who was behind the near-fatal shooting of Sergeant Danjuma Saliu continues. Ajuri Ngalali, Channels Television News.
Before surrendering to the police today, Senator Dino Melaye had been locked up in his house for the past 8 days. 8 days, beg your pardon. We now bring you a timeline of the series of events that are taking place in the face-off between the police and the senator in the last few days. It started with an invitation from the police as far back as July 23rd to Senator Melaye over a case of criminal conspiracy and attempted culpable homicide. Officers of the Nigeria police stormed Senator Melaye's home to arrest him on Friday, December 28th. And on January 2nd, 2019, the police was accused of breaking into Senator Melaye's home, but the police showed evidence that it did not by taking journalists around the residence. The following day, Senator Melaye filed an ex parte application seeking an order of the court for the police to vacate his residence, but the court refused to grant the prayer of the senator and his lawyer and moved for an adjournment in accelerated hearing on January 14th, 2019. Then on Friday, January 4th, the police continued its siege to Senator Melaye's home, but at 3:30 p.m., the Kogi West senator comes out of his residence to the waiting hands of policemen, some of his colleagues, and his lawyer. Now, a meeting between the federal government and the organized labor union aimed at averting the proposed protest rally by the Nigeria Labour Congress next week has been adjourned till Monday, January 7th, for further deliberations. Earlier in the day, the Minister of Labour and Employment led a delegation of other ministers, including the Minister of Finance and that of Budget and National Planning, at a meeting with the leadership of the NLC and the Trade Union Congress to pacify the aggrieved labour leaders. The NLCU president says the outcome of next week's meeting will determine Labour's next step of action.
We have not been able to conclude, and we have agreed to reconvene on Monday to be able to tidy up the process.
What are the issues? What are these issues?
You are aware of the issues at stake. Clearly, it's about making sure that the bill is transmitted, and also other auxiliary issues that government said they are trying to put together to be able to do that. So those are the major issues that we also want to see how the money gets into the pocket of our workers. But those processes which then need to ensure that a clean executive bill is transmitted to the National Assembly, and what they now term also some physical issues is what we'll be able to tidy up on Monday. So clearly, I think let's await that Monday.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Labour and Employment insists the federal government is keenly interested in transmitting the new minimum wage recommendations to the National Assembly. He also clarifies the functions of the new committee that was set up by President Buhari to look into the recommendations of the tripartite committee.
If the president is not committed to it, he won't put up the National Minimum Wage Committee in the first instance. He did so, inaugurated it, and provided them with the equipment to work. High-level technical committee is not a committee to review the minimum wage report. It's not. It's a committee actually that is economic. So it's a committee of budget and planning. And it's a committee that will advise budget and planning and from the government, the federal government, and even the state government on sustainability, on how you can get the funds.
In another development, the Academic Staff Union of Universities says its members are free to participate as ad hoc staff in the upcoming general elections. The assurance was given by the president of the union at a meeting with the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission at the Union Secretariat at the University of Abuja. The chairman of INEC had initially expressed concern over staffing for the elections, and he asked ASU to allow its members participate as collation and returning officers. Our correspondent, Kayla Megwa, reports that the INEC chairman also addressed the controversy surrounding the appointment of Amina Zakari as the chairman ad hoc committee on Collation Center, for which the 2019 election will be in the International Conference Center.
With 42 days to go, 1,558 constituencies, over 119,000 polling units, over 8,000 wards in 774 local government areas, INEC requires a large number of election duty staff. This is why the chairman of INEC called for this meeting to address the concerns that the strike action by ASU will stop its members from playing the vital role of collation and return officers, as they did in the 2015 elections.
We wish to appeal to ASU to consider the following steps. Continue with the existing collaboration with INEC. Allow your members to participate as collation and returning officers for the 2019 general elections.
The ASU president then called for a closed-door session with INEC. After almost 30 minutes, both parties reached an agreement.
We will get the collation and returning officers from the university system as we have already done.
Even though we are not in a position now to do everything we were doing that time, we have assured them that we will not stand on the way of our members participating in the election as ad hoc staff.
The INEC chairman then addresses the claim by the opposition People's Democratic Party that the commission's newly appointed chairman ad hoc committee on Collation Center is related to President Buhari and as such should be removed.
Let me state this very categorically, that the responsibility for managing the venue does not in any way involve the collation of results. Under the Nigerian Constitution, I am the Chief Electoral Commissioner of the Federation and the returning officer in the presidential election. I'm not going to share that responsibility with anyone in the commission. I am absolutely responsible for the coordination of the secretariat for the collation of results. But somebody has to prepare the venue for us to conduct the elections. The internet service that we have to provide, accreditation of international...
Water supply, power supply, we get that these are the responsibilities.
That's correct. That's correct.
The actual question is she related to President Buhari?
Well, let me say categorically that she's not related to the president. She's from Jigawa State. The president is from Katsina State.
Show you all over the...
For some time now, INEC has relied on universities for the critical mass of election duty staff. And both parties have reached an agreement which they're comfortable with. It is hoped that this collaboration will continue. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
Staying with the story, the People's Democratic Party is not backing off on its demand seeking the removal of Mrs. Amina Zakari as head of the ad hoc Presidential Election Collation Committee of INEC. The party, through its spokesperson, Kola Olobodino, insists that Mrs. Zakari, who is a national commissioner at the electoral body, is being used to compromise the independence of the commission.
The People's Democratic Party Presidential Campaign Organization demands that the National Assembly should save our nation from imminent political crisis by immediately asking Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, to remove his niece, Mrs. Amina Zakari, from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. President Buhari has been using Amina Zakari to bear pressure on INEC, even to the extent of brazenly foisting her as the collation officer for the presidential election to enable President Buhari announce himself as winner of the 2019 election. The PPCO holds that a credible electoral commission must be completely impartial, transparent, totally independent, and immune from external control by interested entities. These are qualities INEC can no longer lay claim to as long as Amina Zakari remains a member of the commission.
Meanwhile, the federal government says the PDP is crying wolf where there is none in the case of Mrs. Amina Zakari. A statement by the presidential spokesman, Garba Shehu, says the accusations of blood relationship between the president and the INEC commissioner is baseless and cannot stand the test of time. According to him, President Buhari and Mrs. Zakari do not share a family relationship, but are related through intermarriage in their extended families. In his words, what is even more curious about all the fuss coming from the PDP is that they, as a ruling party, picked Mrs. Zakari, judging her by her own merits, and made her an electoral commissioner. She served so well with distinction, as can be verified from the records, that President Buhari approved the recommendation that she be reappointed, as he did other PDP nominees for second term of 4 years. End of quote. Mr. Shehu says the PDP therefore has no moral right to keep harassing the hard-working mother unless the party has a hidden agenda.